Okay, so let's continue with our translation of Book 1 of the Aeneid. We begin here with progenium, okay? Accusative case, probably the direct object of this verb here, okay? Sed enim, but indeed. Then we have Troiano a sanguine, from Trojan blood, okay? Ablative of source. And then we have a passive infinitive and a present passive infinitive, and then we have our verb. And Juno is going to be the subject of audi erat. And notice this is a syncopated form. It originally had a V in it, audi verat, but the V dropped out. Okay. So she had heard that offspring had been drawn from Trojan blood. Okay. Now, why do I say had been drawn? Well, we're already very much in secondary sequence here with the pluperfect main verb, so it's probably more appropriate to translate it as a pluperfect here. You could probably get away with she had heard that the offspring was drawn from Trojan blood, but probably more appropriate to go ahead and translate that with had. And let's go ahead and take a look at the scansion of the first line. Progeny em sed enim Troiana sanguine duci. Okay. Now what we've got here is, in this case here with Troiano, okay, the I here is a consonant. Okay, it's tro, ya, no. Okay, and generally speaking, if you've got a consonant I following another vowel, even if the vowel is naturally short, that syllable is going to tend to be long. Okay. So yeah, she had heard that offspring had been drawn from Trojan blood. And then notice we have the delayed relative pronoun, which offspring, right? Okay. Would overturn the Tyrian citadels one day. Okay, why Tyrian citadels? He's talking about Carthage and the destruction of Carthage by Rome, and the Carthaginians are also known as Tyrians. Okay, because Dido in fact was from the city of Tyre. Okay, and from this offspring, okay, a people. And then here, regem's kind of strange here because it's a noun meaning king. It's the same case as populum, okay, but they're both nouns. Some commentators recommend reading something like this as a present participle, okay. Others recommend just going ahead and translating regem as in apposition with populum, and translating that as a ruler. Okay, from this, a people as ruler, far and wide, and proud in war, would come. And notice here we've got SA left out. Okay, would come for the destruction of Libya. Okay, dative of purpose here, for the purpose of destruction of Libya. Now, why Libya? Libya was in the ancient world was generally used as a general reference to North Africa. You know, and of course that tends to be where that was where Carthage is located now. So, so that's perfectly fine. And then in this way, the fates roll. In other words, some people interpret this as like rolling out the book of fate or something like that. Okay, but they're also often shown spinning the yarn from which a person's tapestry would be woven. Okay, fearing this. Okay, and again, this is Juno. Okay, fearing this, so Juno doesn't. Juno, remember, Juno loves Carthage, okay, and she doesn't like the Trojans. So, fearing this, and mindful. Oh, Saturnia. Saturnia. That is Juno. Okay, that is a reference to her being the daughter of Saturn. Okay. The Saturnian, mindful of an ancient war, or the ancient war, probably referring to the Trojan War, right? Okay. Which first, and again, notice the delayed relative here, which first, she first, had waged on behalf of beloved Argos at Troy. Okay. Argos is an important city in Sparta, okay, in the Peloponnese. It was a Spartan city, and yeah, and here some people might translate this as on behalf of her beloved Argives, but this is more than likely a reference to the city itself. Okay, this is one of those city names that's plural, which is very common with city names. Okay, there's a different word for Argives. Who are Argives? Argives are citizens of Argos. Okay, and Argos was a very well-known spot for location, also for this worship of Juno. Okay. Not yet even, okay, not yet, had the causes of angers or wraths and the cruel sorrows or griefs or pain, had they yet even fallen from her mind. Okay, in other words, she was still angry about these things, and we're going to see a list of those things now. Okay, it remains, and then here we have an ablative, in her deep mind stored up. What does? The judgment of Paris. Okay. So the judgment of Paris remains stored up in her deep mind. This is often referred to as transferred epithet, okay, because it seems like it would make more sense for the judgment of Paris to be to remain deep in her mind, right? But here we have in her deep mind. Okay, I think it's poetically more interesting that way. Be honest, okay, and the insult of her spurned form, or we might say insult to her spurned form, but these are genitives, okay, and that hated race or lineage, okay, and that's a reference to Dardanus and her dislike of Dardanus because he was again another one of Zeus's sons from not from her, right? Okay, and the stolen honors of Ganymede. Okay, Ganymede was a boy that Jupiter fell in love with, and made his cupbearer. Okay, which was an honorable position, and Juno had already had someone in mind for that job, but Jupiter decided, or Zeus decided, nope, I want Ganymede. Okay. So, fired up by these things, and super could be adverbial, but it can also be a preposition that takes an ablative case. Okay. So fired up on account of these things. Okay. And then we have yaktatos, so tossed men, right? Okay, and the accusative. Iquore toto, so over the whole sea. Troas. Okay, this is an alternate. This is a Greek form, accusative, plural, meaning Trojans. So what kind of Trojans? Tossed Trojans. Oh, tossed on the whole sea Trojans. Okay. the remains of the Danans, another word for Greeks, okay, and cruel Achilles. Okay, one way I have a tendency to want to translate this to get the point across is like leftovers or something like that. Okay, they're the ones left over from all the other Trojans that the Greeks were either killed or took prisoner. Okay, so fired up by all these things. Okay, but let's go back. So fired up by these things, she was doing what? Okay, notice we have the hyperbaton here. Okay, with the delayed verb. She was keeping the Trojans tossed, who were tossed over the whole sea or on the whole sea, in apposition, the remnants of the Danans, of the Greeks, and cruel Achilles. She was keeping them, those Trojans, far from Latium. Okay, and they were wandering through many years, having been driven by the fates around all seas. And this is a very famous line from the Aeneid, of such great, like literally this means mass, okay, of such great burden it was, okay, generative description, of such great burden it was to found the Roman race.